Hi, everybody. Welcome to Queers and Soaps. I'm Tommy, and today I'm joined by Eric,
Augusta's dog. Woof.
who I can never understand if she's saying Riz or Frizz.
That's why I don't know the name. I even Googled it. I'm like, what the fuck is his name? The dog's name? I can't understand what she's saying.
Today, if you haven't picked up on it, we're talking about Santa Barbara. We watched a full week of episodes, so episodes 6 through 10. We will roll the credits and we'll get right into it. Prior to us starting the podcast, I mentioned that I watched these quite a few times because I kept falling asleep. Not because it was boring, just because reasons. And
Alcohol reasons.
um, so maybe it was just because of the amount of times I watched it that the Kelly and Joe theme song is starting to irritate me, or if it actually was played as much as I think
It
it was.
was played like 25 times. I even wrote cue music every time it's played, so you could definitely have like a shot game.
Is it annoying you, or are you just like getting a chuckle
No,
out of
I'm
it?
used to it. I'm
Okay.
I'm used to it. I'm like I just roll my eyes. I'm like whatever. But
So
we got more of the song this time though.
I did notice
A little
that
bit.
because I thought about
Yeah,
you when you were like, they just keep playing the same part.
the same line. Yep.
So we open back on the yacht. Joe had tricked Peter into going to his back to his apartment so that he could sneak on the yacht to talk to Kelly. And their theme song plays as they stare at each other.
I know. I put Joe and Kelly cue music.
Cue music.
Once
um,
in a
he
lifetime.
he swears his innocence again, and it was weird because when they came back to the scene, he was like this, and I was like, "What is he doing?"
He's frustrated. Or showing his arms, maybe.
Maybe. um, Danny has a talk with his parents about going to Hollywood for the rest of the summer.
Oh wait, Joe tells Kelly that he loves her in that first part too.
Oh, okay. I didn't feel like that was special. I feel like he's always telling her he loves her.
Well, no, he didn't. I don't
He
think he did
didn't?
yet. That's
No?
why I mean, yeah, I don't think so.
Oh,
He just
okay. I
always
thought it was
spoke
just
to
like
her.
implied that he's obsessed with her and she should know that.
Dude, yeah. I'm like, if we're supposed to want these people like two together as a couple, like I'm not feeling it. Like I feel like he's stalking her ass. And like, I mean, I don't know. It's weird. Look at one. Ted and Danny.
um, well, Danny first. Danny has a sit down with his parents about going to Hollywood, and the mother seems more open to it than the father. Um, I guess because he made money, so she's like, "Oh, maybe he'll make money again, and it's just for the summer, and then he'll come back." Um, the father thinks he should be doing like a real job, not trying to be a stuntman where he puts his life in danger.
Yeah.
um, but I guess he comes around to it, not in that scene, but it's just kind of implied that they're down for it. Um, I forgot that Santana had cooked a spicy meal for Mason because we reopened with him like needing a lot of water.
Yeah.
And then she gets a phone call with her confirmation for her flight to Acapulco to go look for her baby.
Mason's already annoying with his daddy issues.
I think he's annoying. It actually endeared me to him this week. I was like, I
Oh,
felt like
because
I was coming
you
around to
felt
him.
bad. I got more endeared to Jade this week.
Ugh, really?
Yeah, I thought she cracked me up. She
I feel
owned
like her
those
Jersey
scenes.
accent kept coming out.
It was funny. She cracked me up. I was like, all right, I like this girl more.
um, Danny's parents actually have a talk with Cece about letting Ted go, and he thinks that if they think it's a good idea, then why not? But he pretends like he's not on board with Ted because he has to have a talk with Ted.
Yeah, it appears that the parents have like a better relationship with Ted and Kelly than Cece does.
Yeah, because he says that he like shut down after the wife died, and he just, like, threw
Right.
himself into work.
Wife died. Is she really dead? Or which one? I'm confused at which wife too.
Well, that was something we
Did
found out this week that I didn't know,
yeah,
that Mason has a different mother.
yes. So I guess he was with Kelly and Ted's parent, wife or mom, whatever,
That passed?
when
Yeah,
she died.
yeah,
Okay, I wasn't sure if he was on to someone else after that.
right. Um, because he mentions at points, sometimes talking to himself, how he was the firstborn, but he didn't get the Channing name.
Yeah,
Um,
I did find out about Cece. I googled something. I forget what I was trying to look up. But did you know that Lloyd Bachner was supposed to play Cece but had a heart attack?
is that, Cecil Kobe?
Mm-hmm.
I did know
Yeah,
that because I told you that he was in the promos for it, but then when the show aired, it wasn't
right.
him.
Well, I guess that's yeah, I guess that's why. I wonder if they just filmed scenes and then they had to like reshoot them, when he had a heart attack. It's crazy. There was a
Yeah,
lot of issues like in the beginning. I didn't realize that. They
with
had
the
like three
show?
different with like cast members. There were like three different cast members that were casted, but then recasted right before it came on and they had to reshoot things.
Really?
The same thing with Dominic. There was supposedly there was another person. I don't want to give anything away because I did discover something when I googled it. But but I don't know how this person is related.
Mhm,
But yeah, Dominic was supposed to be played by someone else for like the first couple episodes or the pilot, and then recasted because something happened. I forget what happened with that person. But yeah, I was like, holy shit, this is really weird. It's like maybe the show should have never happened. Like, it was a lot of shit was happening.
well, I mean, I feel like it's no, secret that I believe that Dominic is a female, um,
Hmm.
and my friend Matt in the comments for one of the episodes said that Rosemary Forsythe actually played Dominic, who I think was the original Laura Horton on Days.
Not sure, but yeah, she was the original Dominic that was seen a couple times, I think, and then
Mhm.
recasted with Judith. That's what I didn't want to give away the person because now you know it's a woman.
I mean, I think it's obvious. I think it sounds like Louis Sorel, honestly, but
I am creeped out by that voice. I'm like, that voice should be in like Scream because I'd be more creeped out by that voice than others. Like other old voice things in the 70s and 80s like scared me more than anything current.
Um, so Joe meets up with Dominic and he pulls a gun on him,
Mm,
and that kind of
that was a
freaks Dominic
mistake.
out.
Well, wouldn't it freak you out? Like I'm just trying to help this motherfucker and he's pulling a gun on me.
um, Dominic at one point wants well, first then Dominic pulls a gun on him like he's in the backseat of his car at one point.
Yeah,
He's like, "You
get
shouldn't
him
have did
back.
that because now I feel like I have to hold a gun."
Right. I can't wait to meet this character though. The person that's playing this person now is a woman that was on Another World
Really?
that she just wrapped Another World where I'm at in that. Yeah, she was on there. She was kind of a bitch on there. I mean, I guess a woman that knew what she wanted, we can say. She's not really a bitch.
I find it
But
odd that you would cast a known actor to play a character whose face we don't see for so long. Because
yeah, but we don't know how
I
long.
feel like Days would have stand-in actors, and then when they were ready to reveal, like, that it was somebody we knew, then they would get the real person.
That's true, but I'm wondering if we'll get to see this person first.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like maybe this person will be introduced.
Uh,
Um, you know what I mean?
and
And
we'll
then
find
like
out that
still
that it's
be
Rosemary.
playing Dominic. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Because it's very early on. It's what the first 10 episodes, I mean. And these
Yeah.
were good episodes. They held my attention. Like it's kind of hooking me. I'm getting there.
I feel like it moves fast. Like, Usually with the soap
What's
opera,
that?
they stay in in one episode, they don't really move sets, like, they don't the characters don't change days, move sets, change outfits, and I feel like
Right.
that happens, and it feels very prime time, but not prime time because it's still slower than prime time, but faster than, like, I feel like a soap opera would have been back then.
Back then, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Because like I was gonna text you, I'm like, a lot happened in that one episode. I'm like, damn, like I don't know, it's a lot going on.
Also, something I forgot to mention last week, and I remembered, like, after the fact, um, the pic there at one point, the mother's looking at a picture of Joe before the bomb went off in the house,
Hmm.
and he's wearing the same shirt that he's wearing in that episode that day, so it's like he took the picture that day and just framed it.
They did that stuff a lot. They did that in Charlie's Angels a lot too. They'd have their pictures like random, but they were pictures from that were shot in like the pilot. So you're like, it's so
Really.
funny. It's like they don't think of that, like, or they don't, or they think the audience is too stupid to like realize it. It's
A lot
funny.
of shows do that, even days now, like, you'll see frame pictures of things that were, like, candid conversations that you know that these characters were not there to see, so why would they have a picture of
Right, right.
that?
Yeah, it's always funny when they do that.
Or they used to do, like, the NBC promotional photos would be framed, like, they would just, like, make them, like, the family photos.
Yeah, yeah. Gotta love
Um,
it.
so oh, Jade can be very sexual sometimes, and it almost makes me wonder if she's a virgin, the way she speaks, but usually when the person that talks the most is the least experienced.
Right. I think she
Because she's,
is.
like, just pushing, L
Lane, yeah.
Langston?
Lakin,
Lakin.
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 Langston. I know, I blanked too.
Sounds
I was like,
like
wait. I'm like, I know this name. I had a problem with it last time. I
she
thought she was
just
saying Lincoln.
she's, like, basically, like, pushing Lakin to throw, like, her body at Ted before he goes to LA.
Yeah. She said, give him your bod. Give him your bod. I'm
Like, show
like,
him the
what
Grand
the fuck?
Canyon.
It was so funny. She cracks me up. That's what, like, I really thought she took charge, man, this week. Like with every scene she was in, I feel like she stole it.
Warren walks in on them having a conversation, and, Jade goes to have burgers with him. Um, and I guess Danny wanted to say goodbye before he went to Hollywood, so he stops by the, Perkins house, but Jade's just there to grab some things before she goes out with Warren, and I was kind of on her side in this because she was like, "It's kinda late for, like, to be asked out." She's like, "Did you think I'd just be, like, sitting at home doing nothing, waiting for you to, like, ask me to go out?"
Yeah, right.
So I was kind of on her side with that,
Yeah.
but, Danny kinda, like, follows them, I guess, to where they're going, and he takes the air out of Warren's tires, so he could drive Jade home.
That was funny.
And she gets angry at him when he admits that he did that.
I don't know how I feel about Warren yet. I guess I don't know him well enough. Like he just like he's kind of boring to me right now. Like I'm like,
I think he's cute.
he's cute, but I don't care either. I don't know. I kind of like the Three's Company situation with Jade and the boys. That cracks me up.
Oh, they're my least favorite part of the show, honestly, that whole
What?
situation.
I thought it was great. I actually
Um,
got more entertained in this time. I was like, all right, I like this. I think it's going.
Rewinding a little bit back to the opening scene of Kelly and Joe, um, Peter eventually figures out what's going on, and he goes back to the boat, and he actually, like, shoots, uh,
Oh
like
yeah,
a harpoon or
a
something at Joe,
harpoon.
and it, like it, like,
Yeah,
scathes his shoulder or whatever.
yeah. I was
And
like, oh,
I like
oh
what Joe
damn.
said because he got in his face and, like, roughed him up, and he was like, "Did you see what he did, Kelly?" He's like, "Would you couldn't" he's like, "Would you testify against him and put him away for 5 years? Tried to shoot me."
Yeah.
So we also
So
found out
funny.
that apparently, Peter was, Kelly and Joe's friend, and they confided in him that they were gonna elope before Channing was murdered. So then apparently he told Channing this, and there was a huge fight between Joe and Channing like a day or two before he was murdered.
Right.
You look confused, like you didn't know that happened.
No, no, I'm listening. I'm listening. I thought you were.
Okay.
I'm like, are you done?
You look like I don't know, I felt like you look
I'm
like,
like,
"Oh, really?"
no, no, I'm listening.
Okay. You're like, "When did that happen? Who said that?"
I thought you weren't done what you were
Yeah.
saying. I'm like, and then?
And then Channing was murdered, and Joe was seen, like, hovering over the body, holding the gun and
So
touching the
yeah,
body.
so apparently him and Channing had a fight, but they didn't really show what it was about, right?
No, but I guess it was implied that he wasn't happy that they were gonna elope, so they were fighting about that.
Hmm.
Maybe we'll
Yeah, I
find
need
out
more
more if there is
details.
more.
If anybody gets in Channing's room, maybe.
Yeah, so Dominic wants, Joe to get into Channing's room because they think that there could be some clue as to who murdered him in there.
Right.
But
Even
apparently it's
though
it's been locked for 5 years.
you would have thought like the cops would have gone. So what I got from this too, like Cece is like the all powerful. And I'm assuming that maybe the cops didn't go in Channing's room because Cece seems to control everything, and he probably has a cop under his belt. As we found out, he had that detective under the belt.
Right.
Like so, I'm like, okay, Cece is like the man, and nobody can get him. So I guess everybody. It looks like a lot of people are trying to get him, like Minx and all that. We're trying to do something. Like I'm like, okay, so they're trying to take him down, but this guy's like near impossible to take down.
Speaking of taking down, so Santana is in Acapulco. She called ahead of
This
time
was great.
to make sure that the doctor would be there, but when she gets there, the doctor is on vacation in Germany per CC because he made the phone call to make sure that he was out of
Hmm.
there. But he's not
Hmm.
in Germany. He's just staying at another hotel in Acapulco.
Yeah, like a resort.
One of the nurses is played by an actress that played on, well, she played Yolanda, Selena's killer in the movie. And she played, oh, what's his name?
R.I.P. Selena.
On Desperate Housewives, not Gabby's husband's mother in the first season.
I knew she looked familiar, but I just figured I just didn't even think to look her up.
Yeah. So I was just like, "Oh, hey, you." And, ironically enough, I just read on Twitter
Hey, you.
today that the real Yolanda's, up for parole in 2025.
Mm,
I was
yeah, she
reading the
better
comments
not
and
be
people were like, "Let
paroled.
her out. She won't last long."
Uh,
Yeah.
that ain't right.
Um, but back to Santa Barbara. So none of the nurses are
Hmm.
helpful. Um, this felt very much like beats of this felt like the whole Valine baby switch story on
Yeah,
Knox,
right.
which aired the same year, but this was before that storyline started. So I'm like, "Oh, okay. I see you, Santa Barbara."
We got to look at writers. Maybe we're somebody on the Not
Writers.
Standing writing team that was a part of it. There could have been.
Maybe.
Hmm.
Um, but Santana, is not buying that he's out of the country. Who does she call? She pretends to be a
Okay.
doctor looking for him, and she finds
Oh
out no?
no, I said, oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Good.
And she gets information about where he's staying, and, that's how she finds out he's in Acapulco, and then she
Hmm.
calls the hotel, and I guess the bar or whatever gives him the phone, and when she hears his voice, she hangs up.
Yeah,
So, I like how she played
she
this.
knew. Oh my God, I loved how she played it. She was super smart. I didn't think she was going to be that smart, but she was. I didn't. I don't really know her that well, so I wasn't sure.
So at first I don't know if he's playing like he doesn't know, but he thinks she looks familiar, and she's like, "No, this is my first time here," but he figures it out that it's Santana. And he's very
Yeah.
grossly flirty with her.
Well, I guess because she knew she was on the way, right? So I guess
Yeah.
it makes sense.
Um, And he keeps telling her to come back to his room, come back to his room, and she's like, "No."
Yeah, dirty dog.
She just wants to know where her baby is, and he's not giving up any information. So,
Mm-mm.
but she ends up recording their whole conversation of him, like, basically bragging about
I was
how
like,
he's untouchable because of CC and everything. And
yeah.
when she leaves, she calls him at the bar again, and she plays a little bit of the tape. It reminded me of what we're seeing with Anna on Days in '84 or '83.
The tape. Where's the tape?
Santana has it.
I like that she, yeah, I like that she played it in the phone too. That cracked me up. Like she left and then called them. That was funny.
So she was able to get out of him that Cece was responsible for the adoption. He
Hmm.
actually handled it himself. Like, he actually held the baby, so he knows where the baby is. So
But
then she
Rosa knew
calls.
about it, right? Didn't
Huh?
Rosa know? Did Rosa know? I thought her and Cece had a conversation about it. Or am I
Rosa
mistaken?
Rosa found out from Santana that she had a baby.
I just remember Rosa and Santana. Oh no, Rosa and Cece had a conversation, and I thought it was about keeping the child a secret from Santana. I thought it was early on, like in the early episodes,
No,
but
because
now,
Rosa didn't know that the baby existed until
all
Santana
right, so
told her.
she didn't know. Okay,
She talked to They did
because
have a conversation, but it was after she found out.
okay, because I
Just, like,
just I
just about, like, him knowing that they had a relationship and that all this was happening, and he didn't tell her, the mother.
right, right.
Um, where was I? Oh, so then she calls Cece, and she tells him that she knows that he was involved and he can't be trusted, and she said she's leaving Acapulco now, and she'll be at his house first thing in the morning.
That was good.
Um, Meanwhile, Peter has, like, an accident at a polo match. I guess he was, like, run over by a horse.
Oh my God, these scenes cracked me up. It was so fake. It would crack me. It was so funny.
I had to watch him
He,
twice because I was like, "Wait, what happened?" I thought he was, like, thrown from the horse, but no, he was, like, already
so
off of it.
he got distracted by Joe and Kelly, and I guess was like looking off, and like just like it looked like maybe he was sideswiped by somebody else's horse and fell off his or something. I don't know.
Mhm.
I didn't even know what they were doing. What was that game? Croquet? I
Pol
don't know.
Isn't it polo?
Is it polo
Yeah, I think so.
with horses?
I think so.
Or
Um, so he needs medical attention, and his doctor ends up being Renee Jones.
yeah, that's what I put. I put Lexi. Lexi. And her name's Tony?
Tony, yeah,
Did I get that? Okay.
yeah. I had a very brief moment where I was like, "Wait a minute, is that Renee Jones?" And I had to look it up. Because I was like, "No, it definitely sounds like her," but then, like, her makeup was throwing me off a little bit, and I was like, I was like, "Did I make a mistake?"
Oh my God, I wasn't sure. I didn't realize that she was Kelly's friend at first, and I'm like, she's really kind of nasty to him. But and then I got it eventually that she was
Yeah,
Kelly's friend, and so I guess like when those girls came to visit him, she was just like, because she was like Nancy. I'm like, dude, that ain't your business, bitch. But then once once so she was like protect defensive of Kelly, so she's like, who these girls visiting? Like your ass.
yeah.
He's like, oh, they're my students. All right.
Which I feel like was, like, a nugget for us to be like, "Oh, we can't trust Peter because obviously he's not faithful to her." He gets a company car. He gets a
Yeah,
BMW.
yeah. Why
Uh,
not?
but before he got hurt, they were gonna throw a party in his name.
Yeah,
And
but he couldn't attend.
at the party, CeCe makes a speech about his son and how great he's doing, and it's supposed to be about Mason, but he says, um, Channing. I almost said
Channing.
Chandler. Channing's name.
It's so funny. I was like, ooh, that must hurt. After 5 years and it comes out of us. It's like, okay.
And
Is
he
this
doesn't
why
even
you felt
realize he
bad for
did it
Mason?
because Kelly's the one that has to whisper, like, "You just said Channing." And he's like, "What? I did?" Also,
Yeah.
I almost called him Channing. Mason is there with a less than desirable date.
Oh, I know. What was she, the clerk or something at
Yeah.
wherever? And he already pooped on her. He's like, yeah, you can do better, basically.
So Mason's so hurt by, like, this that he leaves with her and he stays out all night.
Yeah.
And the next morning when he comes home, Kelly sees him and, they have a conversation. And this is kind of where he first says where they're talking about Channing and he's like, "My half brother, your full brother." And I was like, "Okay, we're getting a lesson on the family dynamic right now."
Which is fun. Like I told you, I like to be treated like an idiot when I'm watching stuff sometimes,
Tell me things.
because otherwise, yeah, you don't know. Like,
Uh-huh.
I don't know. Like Augusta can say her dog's name very slowly, so I can get it. I'd be like, what? Like
Yeah,
Lincoln. I thought her name was Lincoln for like the whole first five
Lincoln.
episodes. Like Lincoln. I don't know. Sounds like a girl's name, right? I don't
Yeah,
know.
could be.
I never heard of a Lakin before.
Um, Joe is at the restaurant that they all seem to frequent, and, Augusta asks him to sit with
Mm.
her, and he wants to ask her some questions about the Capwells, which she says is not her favorite subject, but okay. And he wants to know, like, how many people live in the house, and she mentioned Cece, she's like, Kelly, obviously, and then the young one that's after her daughter, Ted, and she says the snooty one, Eden, is
Oh
away.
my God, that made me pee. I was like, and the snooty one. I was like,
And
yeah,
she doesn't even mention Mason. Mason also lives there.
yeah, right.
Even
Nobody
poor
cares about
Mason, he's
Mason.
even being, like, shit on by Augusta.
Oh, this is why you're protective of Mason.
Protective. Um,
I feel like I don't know. Think he
Augusta
should grow a
also I don't
pair.
think they had more than one conversation because there was one where you sent me a screenshot of her hat. This wasn't the hat conversation, but
I was like, I have no words for that hat, but it did look good on her. Whatever.
she offers him a job pretty much doing handiwork around the house.
Yeah, that was funny. I put like houseboy.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh my God. That was cracking me up. I'm like, and I was feeling the heat. I'm like, I hope she bags this guy, man. I was like,
You're like, "Fuck
get
Kelly."
the Joe, get the fuck over Kelly because nobody cares. And Kelly's all about, I love Warren, I love Warren. Like, if Warren doesn't, is it Warren?
Peter.
Thank
Peter.
you. I knew I was mistaken. I'm like, wait,
Well,
that's wrong.
yeah,
Uh,
Warren is Lakin's
but she's like,
brother and Augusta's son.
I love Peter. I love Peter. And she tells Peter, and now if she fucks Peter over for Joe, like, Peter has every right to try to kill whoever he wants because he was told constantly that she's in love with him. She loves him. She loves him. She swears. So if she ever backpedals on this, I'd be so pissed. I'd be like, all right, get revenge, get revenge.
Get
I'm
it.
ready because she's telling them too much. Like, like they say, I forget what that saying is. They'll protest too much or whatever.
Uh-huh,
Like, I feel like that's what she's doing. Like,
right.
because she has feelings, even though she keeps having nightmares of Joe and shit. Like, I'm like, she needs therapy, honestly, but whatever. I can go on.
Joe gave her, like, gave, Kelly a bunch of letters that he wrote her in prison,
Oh my God, these fucking
and
letters.
so one of the episodes opened with her and the letters, and she threw, like, a good chunk of them in the fireplace, and then she decided to read one, and the way that they were placed in the fireplace, I thought and after she read that one letter, I thought she was gonna try and, like, take them out of the fireplace because they weren't really, like, in the fire, they were just kinda, like, next to the fire.
Oh my God, and what a boring, cheesy letter. I was like, ugh.
But that whole opening was their theme song, her reading the letters,
Uh-huh.
him fantasizing about writing the letters, and, like, them on
Hmm.
the beach that they keep showing.
I was like, if they want me into this couple, I'm not. This makes me like not want them to be a couple. Also, did you know that they were married in real life? I didn't know that.
I knew that they dated, I didn't know that they were married.
They dated, they met obviously in Santa Barbara. They married, and I believe they have two kids together. They were
Oh,
only
wow.
married for 2 years. They were married from 86 to 88.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know. I was surprised.
But I
And
knew
he
they were
died
together because I
actually.
told you, and you were like, "Before Sean Penn." No,
Oh
it's
yeah, yeah, yeah. I didn't
um,
realize they were married. But then
yeah, I didn't either.
but he died in 2014. I didn't see a reason, but I have to look it up.
Joe died in 2014?
Hmm.
Really?
Yeah. And he was
Wow.
only, I think, 52 or 54, something like that.
Wow. I didn't know that either. Damn.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um,
R.I.P.
well, now I'm sad. I just found out 10 years later.
I know, right?
Um, oh, poor guy.
I was looking him up because I was curious to what else he did and stuff like that. I was out, just curious to see if he still acted.
Yeah, he
Obviously
has a
not,
familiar face. I must have seen him pop up in something
right? He's
because
in
he
a
was
bunch
only
of
on Santa
random,
Barbara for 3 months.
right? He's in a bunch of random things. He might have been more of like a theater actor. I'm not sure, but I didn't go into depth, but I might.
But you might.
If I'm bored during an episode, that's when I usually look things up. I'm like, this is boring.
So, Augusta and Warren have lunch by the beach, and she wants him to start working for the family company, which he's like not really all about. He loves being a lifeguard.
Yeah.
And they get into it because he basically accuses her of having an affair with Joe because she's been seen around with him.
And she's flirty with
Yeah.
him.
I like how she worded it though. She's like, "Are you insinuating that I'm doing something unseemly with somebody that's not your father?"
Yeah, right. I love when they have characters that we haven't seen yet. Like there's they talk about the dad being away, and then they CC, we don't what one of the his wives are dead, right? But I think there's
Yeah.
another one around. Yeah.
Um, I think, and Matt will tell me if I'm wrong, but
Hmm.
Matt told me that there's another Perkins sister. And what fed into that thought for me was when Joe is arguing with his father about Jade.
Uh,
Well, he invited the father over to talk about Jade, and they start arguing.
right.
He said, I don't know if he was saying your family loves you. He said something about your son, my wife, and your sisters. And I think he said sisters, plural. So
Okay.
I think I'm not making this up, and Matt did tell me that.
I didn't catch it. I wonder why. There's so many families and people. This is enough. I feel like,
Right.
and and like you said, I think did you say something about the Perkins phasing out or whatever? So I can see why. It's
Yeah.
there's too many.
Mhm.
There's the Lockridges, the Capwells, and that's too many for a 40-minute show.
So apparently there was a robbery, and the police show up at the Perkins house because they wanna question Joe. Um, but he has an alibi for where he was, and they catch the real person. Um, Jade goes to, like, a college party all by herself because all her friends are going to LA, and Lakin's, grounded because she likes Ted. That's the only reason.
Yeah, this is when I started liking Jade more at that party.
She's, like, twisting cherry stems with her tongue in under 5 seconds to impress these guys.
I thought I was like, is this a talent that Melissa Reeves has? But then they pointed to the other guys. I'm like, I
I
get
wondered
why.
that too, and then, yeah, like, they, like, camera panned off of her and then went back and she pulled it out.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, ooh, let me see.
And the countdown was more than 5 seconds because when they got to 2, it was almost like he was like, 2, 1.5.
One Mississippi.
Yeah.
One.
But then some other guy shows up and is like, "Oh, that's Killer Perkins' sister," and she heard that right away. She was like, "What did you say?" She was ready to fight.
That's when I looked it up because I saw Tim Robbins and I wasn't sure if it was him. And I'm like, is that Tim Robbins?
Who's Tim
And then I
Robbins?
looked it up. He's an actor. He's in a lot. Shawshank Redemption.
Oh,
His countless movies. He dated Susan Sarandon for like 20 years.
oh wow.
I don't know if they were married, but they were together for like 20 years. Yeah, he's pretty big in Hollywood. Although he hasn't, although I haven't seen him in anything in like 5+ years. But
Hmm.
yeah, I
So
wasn't sure. And
that
then
was the guy that called him Killer
Killer
Perkins.
Perkins. Yeah, and I looked him up because I wasn't positive it was him, even though he does have a very,
Distinct look.
distinctive look. But I looked him up and it said Man. It didn't even have a name. He was Man in Santa Barbara. And then he did like Bull Durham like a couple years later. I'm like, he did all these big movies. I'm like, that's crazy. Like he played Man in Santa Barbara and the next year he's in like all these big movies. It's super
Right.
weird.
Oh, so because I looked up Renee Jones just to make sure it was her, I did
Right.
get to peek at her IMDb because you know how we know she's on a Friday the 13th. Remember
Yeah.
when I was like, "It's not the telekinesis one," and you're like, "No, you're right, it wasn't. It was
It
6. It
was
was
part
Jason.
6, right?
It was Jason Lives."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I looked it up before too because I was curious. I look her up all the time. I feel like because she's in everything, and I'm like, where's
I've
she
looked
in
her up
this?
before too. I should like have her IMDb memorized, but I'm always like, I should just look it up again.
Yeah, me too.
um, where was I gonna go with this? Oh, so then Joe comes by because he said he would check on Jade because he wasn't really happy about her going there by herself, dressed the way
Right.
she was.
And she was very defensive and protecting her brother. I like that.
Yeah, and she basically just was like calling them all losers, and she'd never hang out with them again. And
Yeah.
that's when her and Joe have a conversation about her maybe getting out of Santa Barbara because with everything going on, it might be safer. And she says that she wants to go to LA. And she ends up having a private conversation with her father and getting him on board. And then she talks with her mother about it, and she says, "Well, if you can get your father to agree," and she's like, "He already did."
Yeah. I hate this dad so much. It's not
I
even
know. Every time I
funny.
see him, I'm like, "Oh, Eric's so mad."
I hate him. I want to kill him. Like I'm like, can someone kill this man off? Like, oh my God. I pray for the day he goes away. Like, yes, please. I don't like to hate him. I need him to go away.
In LA, Ted and Danny are set up in an apartment by Danny's relatives, cousins, I guess. And they have a job set up at some pirate seafood place, delivery takeout
The
place.
pirates catch.
Yeah, the pirate. Um, the person that owns it or the manager, she was on Knots Land. She's been in things. She's a character actress, but she was in Knots Landing. She like rented the room to Verna when Eileen had her mental break.
Oh, that's so funny.
This TV season, so she was working.
Work it, girl. Get in there.
They have to wear pirate costumes with like an eye patch, but if they're doing deliveries, they can take the eye patch off.
I actually really like this stuff. And I remember when I said I'm like, I'm not feeling this teen scene when they were on the beach. I'm like, oh, is it gonna be like beach shit all the time? Like, I don't know. Now I'm into it though. I like it so far. It could change my mind next week. You
Did
never
you think it
know.
was gonna be like Annette Funicello, like beach, like teen set, like the
Well, no,
Mickey
did you?
Mouse Club?
It was funny when Janine Turner made an appearance, and I made a. Do you know Janine Turner?
No, but that was that the Miss Universe person
Miss Galaxy.
or Miss Galaxy? Is she
Yeah.
really Miss Galaxy?
I don't know. I'm curious. I should have looked that up, but no, I'm not sure. She probably was. She's gorgeous, but she was in General Hospital as another Laura.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they killed Laura off in 1980. Killed Laura off in 1982.
Hmm.
And then they got another Laura. I don't really know why. I don't know if they were like people will miss the name. I don't know what they were thinking by naming this girl Laura because I feel like that was set up for failure. Like when you have a popular character and then you get another Laura right in, like it feels like they're replacing a Laura with a Laura, in my opinion.
That is
But
weird.
anyway, she hardly did anything. She dated Blackie, from what I remember, and I just watched it and honestly not much else. I think she worked for Scotty too and had an affair with him and that was it. She was out within like
Huh.
6 months.
Well, that's a
But
lot. 6 months.
that's Janine Turner. Yeah, I know. She was hardly on. She was on like once a week.
Wow,
Hmm.
that's interesting.
But it was funny because she actually played herself. I was like, oh, was she that big back then? I didn't know she was. I
Hmm.
didn't think she got, but she did a series. I forget what was called, like China something in
China
like the
Dolls
late
or something,
80s.
or was that a movie?
No, that I don't. I'm really forgetting what it was. I forget what it was called, but anyway, it was a series that was like lasted a while. Or Northern Exposure. I think she was in that. There's a show called that.
Mm-hmm.
And I know she was got bigger, but I didn't know she was big in 1984, big enough to like, you know, be in a soap and be like, oh, that's Janine Turner.
Yeah. So Ted ends
I don't
up
know.
delivering food to her from the restaurant. Excuse
Steak.
me.
That's
And he's
true.
like head over heels for her, and I'm like, oh, bye, Lakin. That didn't take too long.
Yeah, right.
But okay, so are we supposed to believe that Ted sent a message to have dinner with Lakin all the way from Los Angeles by carrier pigeon?
I don't know.
That
This
damn
bird shit's
carrier
weird.
pigeon. Augusta finds the carrier pigeon, and she finds him
Oh
and
my
goes,
God. I love that.
and she was like, "It's
Like
not
she's,
reading your mail since there's no postage on it."
yeah. And then she's like, we're gonna have it for dinner or something.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, roast that bird.
That was funny.
Oh yeah, and the bird was hitting a bell. That was too funny. I'm like, how?
Yeah.
Like, did this? Who got that idea? And does it really happen? Can it really happen? Can you train birds to? I guess you can. I don't know.
It was so campy and like over the top.
I
Uh,
hate the dad so much. Like every time he's on, I put douche dad. Like I never like not write douche dad.
do
It's
you?
really funny. I didn't even notice it until now. I'm like douche dad, douche dad. But come on.
So Santana goes to see Cece, who's very deflective and won't give her any information. Um, but then something happens with an oil rig, like it explodes or something, and so Cece has to like handle that, and he's like, "I don't have time for you, Santana. Like, stop, leave me alone." And she's like, "I'll
Yeah,
wait," and she like
that's
stays there, like at the house,
all
waiting for
day.
him.
Waits all day. I'm like, girl,
So we
hardcore.
got at one point, we had another helicopter shot, and I was like, "Oh, they're using that budget," and they showed like the fire in the middle of like the water or whatever. Um, I guess they were drilling below sea level,
Right.
which made me think of the first season of Knots Landing when
Knots
JR came to
Landing.
town and wanted to do it.
Me too. That's exactly what I thought. And like Minx was like the Karen of that
Minx,
situation.
Minx went right to the news. She was like being interviewed. She just wanted to talk shit about CC.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's what I mean. Like these people are just trying to bring him down left, right, and center, and he's just, getting away with whatever. That's
um,
too funny.
at one point, CC does a little press conference, and he mentions Cruz Castillo, which is I thought um meant we were gonna see him at least by the end of the week, but we didn't. We just got his name
I thought
mentioned.
so too. I thought he was going to be in like the end and be like, "Oh, that's Cruz" or something.
Yeah.
Like, and he appears at the door or something.
So he's
But we
definitely
didn't.
in the next week, definitely,
He's
because
coming.
they
He's
said he's
coming.
on his way.
And I read A. Martinez didn't want to be in a soap, which is the craziest thing because he's in every soap. Like, I'm
Right,
like, what?
right. He because he was
Maybe
on
maybe
this.
he
I don't know if he was on it till the very end, but he was on for like most of the run.
right. And he might not have wanted to. Maybe a lot of people when they're young, they're just like, I want to be in Hollywood. I want to be in movies. Maybe that was his
Yeah.
thing. And
Hmm.
then he's like, all right, fine, I'll do the soap. I need to work. And then once he got into it, he's probably like, I could use a regular job. It's hard to be an actor. You're like, all right.
Yeah.
And maybe he just settled. And I think he's great in soaps. So I'm glad he made that move and stayed there.
Right.
And I wish he'd come back to Days. I would love to see him on there
Um, where was I going with this? Oh, so because she's not getting any answers out of CC, Santana hires a private investigator
again.
to
Ooh.
follow him and try to get info. And she
Hmm.
gives him like $1,000 check. And she's like, I don't know how I'm going to be paying my rent this month. She's like, but some things are more important than others. I was like, is it? I was like, because I feel like it's important to have a roof over your head if you're going to have a child. So I feel like the rent is important.
I believe so, yeah.
I'm like, so I'm not really like on board with this, but okay.
Yeah.
But he immediately calls Cece and tells him that she paid him to follow him. And he's like, give her the runaround, make her think like,
Yeah, I don't. This storyline's gonna get on my nerves because I'm like, if he's gonna fuck with her like a long time, like it's gonna piss me off to no end. I'm hoping that. as smart as she was to record that doctor, she's kind of stupid. Like I feel like she should have gave a fake name when
Mm,
she hired the detective.
right.
Um, just in case. Like I don't know. Uh, she
So
knows how powerful he is. Oh, and do you think so? I just thought of this. Do you think Cece, whoever has her kid, do you think it's like Eden or like one of his family members? Or you don't really not sure. I
I
was
never.
thinking, why would he like protect? Like, why would he really not want her to see this child? Like, he doesn't care because he doesn't care about anyone, it seems, except for Kelly. But I don't know. I was
I
thinking
never
he's
really thought
protecting
about it.
everybody.
Perhaps it could be one of his family members. I don't think it's Eden. Not if she's snooty. If she's a snooty, spoiled brat, I don't see her wanting to raise a child. Um,
Yeah, but we don't know her yet. How do we know she's snooty?
Perhaps it doesn't really line up with how he's acting, but perhaps Channing's not dead and Channing's raising the child.
Hmm.
If it's a family
In his
member.
in his own room, and nobody goes. I'm
Yeah,
kidding.
that's where the baby is. They're locked in the room.
He just stays in
The
there like
carrier
as soon as they
pigeon
come
brings
out.
them the food.
What is it like? Uber Eats
Right.
picks up.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I
I'm curious.
never really thought too hard about that because I didn't really care.
I
But
thought this was a really good week. I'm excited to see more.
um,
I like it.
so Dominic gets the blueprint for the Capwell house,
Hmm.
and Channing's bedroom is right next to Kelly's. So he gets a key, and he somehow gets into the house. That house needs better security, honestly. Um,
Did he send the blueprints with the key? Dominic sent.
I
I,
think
I thought
because I
it was
remember
separate, but I
him
can't
like
remember
emptying the envelope with the keys.
with the key.
So maybe. Um, so he gets into the house. It's nighttime. Kelly's in bed having nightmares about Joe. She's like dancing with him. Um, Peter punches him in her dream twice, and he like doesn't even flinch. Like he doesn't fall back
Right?
or anything, and it looked like he really hit him. I doubt he
It
really.
really. You know what? There might have been like I'm wondering if they put something next to him, like to punch.
And it just looked like it went past him instead of.
Because I watched that very carefully because I watched the first one shocked me and then he did it again and I was like in it and I was like it really looked like he hit him, but it
Right.
almost looked like he hit like next to him. But that's hard to do. Like if your aim's off a little bit, you could smack him in the face. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like, but it did look like something might have been next to him where he could hit it
Maybe.
because it kind of looked next to him. It was weird. But
Hmm.
anyhow,
Um, and Joe makes his way to the bed to Channing's room. But the minute he puts the key in, it sets off an alarm system in the whole house.
oh my God, I know. I was like, fuck. And then that was the last episode too, right? And then I
Yeah,
was
that was
like,
how it ended
damn.
for the week. Yeah.
See, and now I want more, so I'm like, damn it. I am hooked, I guess.
I guess I'm.
Um, Also I made notes that who was it? Um, when Warren and Augusta were together, that he said that she was giving Joe bedroom eyes,
Mhm.
and then she said sort of like a bitch, and I was like,
Oh
and
yeah.
she said bitch,
Yeah.
and I was like. Uh, did we talked about bitch before when they used it, I think in prime time. And I
Yeah.
forget what we were talking. Was it in Falcon Crest maybe? I think it
I
was
was just
Falcon Crest.
Did they say it in Falcon Crest? And I was like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "That seemed really early," because I never really
I
knew
f-
when bitch was first said. Like,
right,
I've
we were
heard
talking
son of
about
a bitch, but just to call somebody a bitch, like, in a
I
soapy
think
way.
I think Angela called Jacqueline a bitch. And that's why we were talking about it. And now this was 1984 and bitch was used in daytime. I'm like,
Mhm.
was this the first bitch? Like I gotta look that up. We gotta find out
I know, it's
because
it's
that's
something I
early
wonder
on.
about, but I don't wonder about it consistently enough to, like,
Right.
find the answer.
I forget about it, right? And I
Yeah,
forget about it until it
until it
happens, and then
happens,
I'm
and I'm like,
like,
"Wait, what year is this?"
right. Now I might try to look it up today if I remember. If I don't, whatever. We'll talk about
I
it again in
remember
another
I
day.
remember I think the first time I heard it was in the pilot of 90210, which was 1990. Like, me personally heard "bitch," and I was like, "Oh my god, that's like they say bitch."
Dude, we gotta make note of all the bitches and everything we're
Yeah,
watching.
'cause
We're
in the
like,
pilot, Kelly says to Brenda, "This class is a real bitch. I need all the help I can get." I was like, "Oh, she said bitch."
see, so bitch, we got bitch and dynasty at some point. I forget when that happens. I'm assuming season 2 or 3,
Mhm.
when Alexis and Crystal fight. Um, I remember it was used, but like, yeah, I gotta do some research.
So, I had told Matt because he was like, "Who are you talking about?" I was like, "Renee Jones," and he was like, "Oh," he's like, "I don't remember her being on there at all." And I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, "I mean, I've only seen the first 20 episodes, but she was on." And her IMDb says 8 episodes, but I feel like those episode counts are never correct for anybody.
They're never right. I guess with soaps, it's too many to count, so nobody cares enough. And if I guess if you're a hardcore fan, you're probably, I used to put like people in different like guest stars in IMDb.
Oh, did you?
Hmm.
Somebody messed up her IMDb though, because she's listed as Bridget Forrester on Bold, and I'm like, she definitely was not Bridget Forrester.
She is?
Yeah,
Oh, that's funny.
it's weird. Somebody messed up.
It didn't say her real name on Bold. I don't even remember. When was she on Bold?
She wasn't.
She wasn't on Bold, and somebody put
No,
her in
but
Bold.
she's credited as Bridget. I'm like, she did not play Catherine Kelly Lang's daughter. I'm sorry.
That's so weird.
Yeah, so somebody messed up.
Wow. Yeah, because anybody can just do it. Because I used to put like, because I would have like different rare series, so I would go on like and put like whoever the guest stars were in it or whatever,
Oh, cool.
if they weren't listed. So yeah, it would pop up on their IMDb.
Hmm. Well, do you
I stopped doing that a few years
have
ago.
any other thoughts or predictions for what might be coming up?
Um, I even didn't say about the dad. I put Joe tells douche Jade needs. I don't even call him dad anymore. He's just douche. Um,
I will say I do remember there being a lot of sexual tension between Joe and Augusta, and I'll just leave it at that.
I like it. I'm honestly here for it. That's
Yeah.
I'm liking that. I want there to be sex between them. Or I guess we can't say sex, but make love. I want them to make love.
Oh, we didn't mention Jade ends up showing up at the apartment with Ted and Danny, and
Oh yeah, yeah.
she worms her way into getting the bedroom in the one-bedroom apartment.
Oh my God. That's why I felt like she really commanded those scenes. Then she's getting everything ordered. This is the stuff we need for the apartment. Like, and they're like, okay, all right, like whatever. Um,
She's like,
I did.
"Yeah, we have to have scheduled bathroom time." She's like, "I can't just have you guys walking in and out of my bedroom." Your bedroom? Okay.
I'm like, listen, when I gotta go, bitch. So whatever you're doing in there, you better get like one of those screens that block you or
Right.
something because my ass is going. I'm not being held up from what I'm paying for in this apartment. Um, there was this scene, I forgot about this, when Ted has the fantasy with Janine Turner and Lakin, which
Right.
is stupid. I was like, oh man, I hope the show doesn't do this often. Um, that was silly. Yeah, I call Jade what Danny and Ted Three's Company because that's what it is, but like kind of opposite. So
So
that's what I
I
call
guess they
that.
don't have a couch yet because Danny and Ted were
No.
basically propped up on kitchen table chairs
Yeah.
with their pillows, like, on their shoulders. I was like, "Maybe at 18, 19, you could sleep like that." I was like, "I would have such a neck ache if I tried to sleep like that now."
You could. I used to sleep on like I used to have a futon as a bed when I was like in my 20s. Now I would never be able to do that.
Right. I mean, it's
Um,
okay for one night if you're spending the night somewhere, but, like, that's supposed to be where they live.
yeah, right. I am curious to know where Santana's son is.
I hope it doesn't lag on too
Um,
long. I honestly hope that
See,
it wraps up with this Santana because I feel like she deserves to have closure.
that is so hard, and so like I do like recasts. I like when they get somebody temporary too. I think it's fun to see someone else play a role.
Hmm.
Um, but it is hard to see like if something big happens when the temporary person's on, you're like, oh man, because it kind of just takes something out of it for you. Unless it's like a permanent replacement.
So I don't remember what the secret or reveal was, but something like that happened on Bold. So the actor that plays Mason, oh god, I can't think of his name. The actor that plays Mason, we'll just say that,
Was
played
on bold.
Ridge on Bold in 1992 for like 2 months,
Mm,
and he played like the climax of a story, and I was like, this just doesn't hit the same without Ron Moss. Like, why would you do
uh,
that? Like,
that sucks. Yeah, it's
and
one
they
thing if
knew
they
they
weren't in
knew
a big
Ron was
school.
coming back, so like, why couldn't they just like write like fluff until he came back? Because they literally said, due
Yeah,
to medical reasons, like so and so is playing the role of Ron of Ridge Forrester.
yeah, uh, and they probably got him because he was well known by then as Mason, so they were probably just like, get this guy because it's worth it to get somebody bigger for that story. But I guess because everything's written, so it's hard to,
Yeah,
fuck
he's a
around
good
with it.
actor. He just wasn't Ridge. It just didn't. He was too, I don't know, even mellow. Like there was no like range in how he portrayed Ridge.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's it then, right?
I'm looking.
How much did you write?
Keep talking. I know, right? How much did I write? Like a whole other
You do a
page.
lot when you watch Santa Barbara. You're like looking up people's IMDb's, you're writing
I
notes.
do. That's what like the one there was a lot of stuff that was happening and I was like, damn. I even made note. I put Joe meets with Augusta with hat. I would like Augusta to talk to her dog. Like she tells her dog her problems. That was funny.
Right.
Whatever the
I guess
dog's
it's
name
just
is.
lonely, and Minx doesn't like her.
Oh, Augusta with Joe. So yeah, like when she went to Joe's and she said that he should leave town, but she makes it like, oh, I'll help you leave town, whatever.
Yeah, she's like,
And
I'll give
then
you like $5,000 or something just to get you set up or whatever.
and he's like, I ain't leaving town. Like I want to prove. And then she's like, oh, okay, then you can be my houseboy, which we talked about. I just
Yeah,
thought that was funny. 'Cause I'm like, that's a big change. I guess it's like a keep your enemies closer, so she wants to keep them close. I
that
almost
was
wonder, like,
that was the first instance where she got a little physical, and she kind of like she didn't straddle him,
yeah,
but she like was like
he's like,
seducing him a little bit.
all right, we can just have sex, if you don't leave. Yeah, I'm curious. I wonder if she's protecting her husband. Like, I wonder if her husband killed. I need to know more about Channing, I guess. Like, I wonder if we'll find out, like, because you need a good reason to murder someone, not just like a fight.
Yeah,
Like, I hope we find out a little bit more. Like, hopefully he's in flashbacks or something.
I know we meet her husband pretty soon. I don't think it's in within the first 20 episodes. I don't think it's next week. It might be closer to 20, but we do meet him.
I can't wait to get to episode 21, so you have no idea what's happening.
And I'm saying 20, I may have watched 25. Like I definitely didn't make it
Ooh.
to 30 though. Like a few may have slipped
Um,
in past 20. I don't know.
what about the clippings? Do you think that was important? Like, Kelly, didn't somebody have clippings of Channing?
Yes. So Mason made Rosa put like clippings and news articles away of the trial for some reason.
That was fucked up. Yeah.
And but when Kelly came in with them in her hand, I thought she pulled the like burnt letters out of the fireplace. I thought that's what she was holding at first. I was like, "Are those her love letters?"
That's so
um,
funny.
yeah,
But they were not.
they were not.
But that letters got on my nerves. I'm like, just read a fucking letter. Like, why is it so hard? And then that's when she threw them in the fire, and I was like, all right, or just burn them.
But they
Because remember in
lingered on
every
them so
episode,
long that I thought she was gonna be like, "Wait," and like pull them back out.
right? And she was just like playing with these stupid letters. That got on my nerves. Yeah, that's all. I think I have Q song for their song about 10 times. So if you're playing the drinking game and you're watching Santa Barbara every time
I
it's
wonder
up
how
right
much
here.
they had to pay every time they played it.
I think they had to pay one price, and I bet you it was a lot of money. So they probably had to just played it as much as possible because they paid for it. That's what I'm thinking. Because it felt like the same way on General Hospital with Luke and Holly's
Gotcha.
weird. But anyway, yeah, I'm done.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us for another edition of Queers and Soaps, Santa Barbara style.
Mhm.
As always, you can find us on all the socials at Queers and Soaps. And until next time, have a great day. Bye.
Bye, guys.